This video will describe the FITT Principal Plan Examples assignment for fitness walking. For this video, I would like to mainly go over how this assignment is set up. There's multiple steps to it. So it's very important that you read all of the information on this page. There's a lot of content to learn. So if you read the success criteria, it says the student will understand the meaning of the FITT principle. So that's the content part of getting the information. If you are unaware of what the FITT principle is, then you're going to complete a FITT principle quiz. This is within this assignment. And then you'll come back to this assignment to continue and create a workout plan using the FITT principle for students 2 and 3. So within lesson 3, there are 2 submissions, the quiz and then the workout plan. Your checklist is to read the introduction to FITT principle, watch the video, read the Principles of Training FITT article, take the quiz, and then fill out the example sheet. One thing that helps with the checklist is if you do not have enough time to complete this all in one sitting. This assignment will be a little longer as far as written work compared to some of the assignments in class. So if you don't feel you have enough time to complete this whole thing, follow that checklist. So try to do checklist 1 and 2, and then come back later and do 3 and 4, and then come back later and do 5. Okay, introduction, checklist item 1. This is going to be your basic information about what a FITT plan is. I'm not going to read this out loud during this session, but it's very important that you do read this. The FITT plan is looking at 4 components: frequency, intensity, time, and type. The frequency is going to be how often a person performs a health-related physical activity. The intensity is going to be how difficult or how hard this says that they exercise during this physical activity. Intensity can be measured in different ways. For this class, you normally see intensity measured by RPE scale, which we use for activity logs, or you may see it by MVPA, so moderate to vigorous physical activity. Your heart rate is the main way to gauge your intensity. The higher your heart rate, the more difficult your intensity. But when creating your plans, you can use RPE and you can use MVPA, or moderate to vigorous, or low moderate vigorous physical activity. The time is going to be the length of each activity. So this should be a short amount of time. It could be, if it's running, it could be 10 minutes or 20-minute runs. If it's flexibility or stretching, maybe you want to do 10 to 30 seconds of each stretch. If it's aerobic activity, this is 20 minutes of continuous, so jogging. But if it's other aerobic activity like jumping or jump rope, jumping jacks, anything that's getting your heart rate up, but in a short burst, you may want to do 30 seconds for each activity or 1 minute for each activity. And then the type is going to be what you're actually doing. So an example would be an individual wishing to increase arm strength. You must exercise the triceps and biceps in your arm, while an individual who's wishing to increase aerobic endurance, you would run or jog or swim. So the type is going to come in with what is your SMART goal. And remember, this is all going to relate back to your SMART goal. So if your SMART goal, for example, was to run 3 times a week for 2 miles, then your frequency is how often are you going to run is 3 times a week. You may also want to throw in muscular strength days or flexibility days, or maybe you do flexibility every day. So flexibility 7 days a week, running 3 times a week, muscular strength 2 to 3 times a week. And then your intensity for that run would be moderate to vigorous, or on your RPE scale, it would probably be a 6 to an 8. And then your time for each activity, if it depends what your goal is for your running, but if you're trying to go 1 mile each time, it may take 10 minutes. So a 10-minute run 3 times a week. If you're trying to go further, like in my goal, I'm trying to do 6 miles. So if I do 4 miles, I'm looking at about 40 minutes for myself, 45 minutes for the time. And then the type goes back to what is that goal. So for me, for the running goal I set, my type would be cardiovascular running. And then I would put in a flexibility because I always stretch a little bit before and then some more after my run. Checklist item 2 is going to be to watch this video. Make sure you watch. This guy does a great job. He's a physical education teacher and he does a great job explaining the FITT principle, and it just gives you more background knowledge on what you're learning with this content. Okay, checklist item number 3. This is a great time to use the immersive reader. So Principles of Training FITT. Again, this is just going to be more information for you, but this article is going to give you answers to your quiz. So if you click on the immersive reader up in the box up here, it's going to come up with this, and then you can hit read aloud and it will read this article
Principles
out
of
loud
Training,
for you.
FITT. Think of the FITT.
Okay. When you get to this article, really pay attention to the different times or days that they give you, ideally for each session. This will be important when you create your FITT plan also. But for example, it's going to talk about for your frequency, how often should you do cardiorespiratory training? If you read here, it says is a minimum of 3 sessions, but ideally 5 or 6 sessions. So when you're creating your FITT plan, use this information. If you're trying to either lose weight or do higher cardiorespiratory training, then you want to, this article will give you that information of ideally how many days a week you should train cardiorespiratory. If you're doing resistance training, this is going to be dependent upon the particular individual, but every session should be completed 3 to 4 days a week. So this would be like your muscular strength and endurance. Just another helpful hint, and these items will be on the quiz. So then there's your intensity. How intense should you do cardiorespiratory training? Talks about your target heart rate. This should all be stuff that you guys are remembering from past content that we have learned. Here's your type and your time for each session. Okay, heading back. After you read this article, again, if you need to break this up, you can, but here's checklist item 4, which is your FITT principle quiz. Make sure you follow the checklist items in order. After you complete the quiz, that will be submitted. The quiz can be submitted more than once, so if you don't do well the first time, feel free to retake it and submit again. And then you're going to move on to checklist item 5, which is creating your FITT plan examples for students. A couple things to look at in checklist item 5 is I have an example of a FITT student here. So this student is 15 years old, male, enjoys soccer, basketball, and running, and he trains at school. The training at school just gives you the information about what equipment he would have to train. This is what your FITT plan is going to look like when you open it. The name of the person here, I have student 1. I have a lot of students copy and paste the student information. So you may copy and paste that he's 15, he enjoys soccer, basketball, running, trains at school, just so you have that information on your page. And then you're choosing which activities you're going to have at the top, and then a short little paragraph, couple sentences about why you choose that frequency. This is where you show your knowledge of the FITT principle, and you show your knowledge of other content that we have learned in class previously from MVPA, from walking and heart rate, and then from that article you read about the FITT principle. So give as much information as you can for more credit on this assignment. And this is you being a personal trainer. So you can be creative and come up with your own, whatever you think would be great for this student. And just make sure you put your knowledge of what you know about the FITT principle and about intensity of workouts and times of workouts and types of workouts into this chart. Okay, so then after you check out this sheet as an example, so you know what you're looking for. And then you're going to go down to, after reviewing the example, you're going to open up the blank worksheet to create an exercise for student 2 and student 3. As you see, here's student 2, the information about the student, and student 3, the information about the student. Again, pretend you are their personal trainer using your knowledge of exercise and the FITT principle and the components of fitness to create a FITT plan for that particular student. This chart is just going to be another resource for you. If you're looking at, let's say you're looking at flexibility for this student, here's just some ideas. These are not set in stone. You don't have to use these, but they're just good ideas for what you could use in each box. So if you're choosing flexibility, that can be a daily activity. Doesn't have to be, but for frequency here, you're looking at daily. For intensity, flexibility is a slow and controlled movement. The time, just 20 to 30 seconds per stretch. And then the type, they have static flexibility. I have some students put specifically like different leg stretches or arm stretches, depending on what activities that student is trying to accomplish. Another example here would be cardiovascular endurance. So this would be running, jogging, swimming. The frequency be about 3 to 5 times per week, which you'll recognize from the article. And intensity, they're using moderate to vigorous, which would be your heart rate, 60 to 85% of your heart rate. This information may come from your walking and calculating heart rate worksheet. It may also come from your MVPA assignment. But again, here for intensity, you can also use RPE, which is what we use in our activity logs. And then time, they have a minimum of 20 minutes, and type, continuous motion of large muscle groups such as running, cycling, cross-country skiing. You can be more specific for type when you're creating the plan for the other person based on what they enjoy doing and based on what equipment they have. So for our student who plays soccer and has training equipment at school, cross-country skiing might not be the best choice for their cardiovascular endurance, but maybe running, since they play soccer, would be a great choice for the type of cardiovascular endurance. All right, I hope this helps you get started with the layout of this assignment. And like always, feel free to message if you have any questions.